Hi everyone, I'm back. And today I wanted to talk about obsessive compulsive disorder, my favorite topic. Again, I answer questions that people write via Life by Chloe. So if you guys want to write me, you can write me via lifebychloe.com. And this one was all about obsessive compulsive disorder. Generally, the questions tend to be related to pulmonary hypertension, but sometimes they're not. This one was kind of random. So I wanted to talk about it and let you all know that I am incredibly obsessive and compulsive in every way. Always have been, from like the age of 5 when I decided I was only gonna eat chicken liver for like 6 months, and then I only ate raspberries for like 4 months. I'm superstitious, I'm totally one-track minded, just completely obsessed with whatever it is I do. So I felt that I could talk about this. As a side note, when I was 13, I was in school and I was in the cafeteria and I had like a bag and I would go into the cafeteria and I was like, wow, the food is free and there's so much of it. And I would grab like 20 oranges and stash them in my bag and everybody would laugh. I had no idea that this was like a thing. And I'd go back to my room. I was in a boarding school. I'd go back to my room, take all my oranges and like put them all around my room. And it looked like an insane person. And I was like, ooh, I've locked myself in my room with all my oranges. It was a little bit weird. And everybody, again, just kind of laughed and was like, oh, Chloe's just being weird, you know? But it was part of this obsessive compulsive thing. I actually, at one point, my family was very concerned about this. And so I went to see a psychiatrist, which I had never wanted to do. But I did. I thought in order to make them feel better, I would go. And I talked about, very honestly, I was like, okay, this is how I've been during my life. These are some of the things I've done. You know, when I eat like 1 orange, I have to eat like 30. When I do this, I have to do it all the time. You know, like when I leave the house, I have to unlock and lock the door like 20 times. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna prescribe some antidepressants because this should calm down the compulsive behavior. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go with antidepressants. So long story short, he prescribed antidepressants and I took the prescription, threw it away and never went back because I was just not interested in that, and I never have been. I've always been interested in my mind, and I've always been interested in using these character traits or behaviors, like how we can use these things for good, because essentially obsessive compulsive behaviors can be terrible. It can really disrupt your life, but on the other hand, if used for good, they can be amazing. And in my life, I've tried to manage my compulsive behaviors and use them for good. For example, because I'm so obsessed, I have to finish every single song I start. You know, for example, with regard to food, when I was diagnosed 5 years ago, I was told I didn't have much time left to live, and I developed these 5 key principles and became completely obsessed with them. Nothing could disrupt this obsession. And as a result of this obsession, I got dramatically better. So I've been able, in other words, to use this compulsive behavior for good. I kind of always see it as like a little weapon that you have in your bag, and you can use this weapon for evil or you can use it for good, and you have the choice. It does disrupt my life a lot still. Of course, I find myself falling into these patterns that are not healthy at all, but I also remind myself that I can shift that. I feel like I was given this character trait or whatever you call it for a reason. And I've always been interested in our minds and how our minds work. And I think it's fascinating. And instead of being angry and fighting this way about myself, I try very hard to use it, to put it to work. And I've always been very resistant to anyone who's ever offered me anything for it in terms of medication, because, excuse me, it's happened a lot throughout my life that people have talked to me, and then as you talk to me more and more, you're like, oh wow, she might need a little help here. But the truth is, I've always wanted to kind of do it myself, and I don't know if I'll always feel the same way I do now, but I'm someone who likes to feel in control, so I definitely like to be in control of my own mind. And when I go off the path, then I bring myself back compulsively. I also want to just remind everyone that obviously I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional in any way with regard to any of this. So if somebody really is struggling with OCD and is taking over your life, everybody works differently, and some people work better working hand in hand with a professional. So I would say whatever method is best for you, go for that method. this method just happens to be the right one for me, which is basically sitting with myself and figuring my stuff out and shifting my compulsive behaviors toward accomplishing good things. So that's it. I hope this video has been helpful. As always, you guys can write me at lifebychloe.com. If you leave your emails there, you'll receive updates, free things. We're launching a store, so I'll be updating all that soon. Just basically, you'll receive much more about me and my life in case you don't receive enough. lifebychloe.com. I will see you there. Thanks so much for watching.